And was it the second day that we really got into it?
I think I got my hands dirty on you guys that day, didn't I?
Ulcerative colitis came along, and then shook my world upside down.
Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today it is the Double L show. We have got Lewis Rose joining Lucy Davis. Lewis, it's absolutely incredible to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Lucy. How are you?
I'm so well, thank you for asking. You're looking really well. It looks like you've been outside in the sunshine.
Just a little bit, yeah. The perks of working outside, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I'm losing my tan so quickly right now. I'm like, please put me back in the sunshine. I brought the sunshine back for a few weeks, but it seems to have gone right now. But anyway, let's get on with today. So, Lewis, I met you in Manchester in February, and that was at Soul School, ladies and gents. There'll be more information coming on that very, very soon. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect a lad like yourself to be at Soul School. Don't get me wrong, I felt extremely privileged that you were there. And actually, there was a few other younger lads there as well, which was amazing. But I was actually really surprised to see you there. And it was when we spoke after that you actually shared with me that your beautiful mum kind of convinced you to come along. And you were like, oh, I'm not sure. And then you jumped in with both feet and you actually had a really good experience, didn't you?
I did, yeah, yeah, definitely. So it all started obviously the first soul school. My mum went to the one in Bournemouth,
Yeah.
and she came back from that and she was just like, Lewis, you've got to come to the next one. You have to do it. She's just this feeling. I mean, I can't describe it to you, but I've just got to get you there. So I was like, okay, I'll humour you. Do you mean I'll come? To be fair, I used to listen to your videos from. Do you mean from the
I
lot
love
first?
that. I didn't know that. Oh,
Yes,
thanks.
right. So yeah, from the very beginning. So I was like, I was open to it anyway. But I suppose in my head, I was a little bit scared of making the commitment to actually come into something like this, because there's none of my friends that are doing this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? There might be, but I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So for me, in my head, I was like, I would love to do it, but I've got to build up enough like courage within myself to actually say, okay, I'm gonna do it. So she promised me, she was like, right, if she so this is what she actually did pay for me on this one. She was like, right, if I pay for it, you've got to
Oh,
promise me
bless her.
that you will come. And I was like, okay, you've done it now. I said, promise
Bribery from mum.
me. But
Good tactics,
honestly,
Donna.
yes, I said, look, I will come. I said, I promise you, I'll do the work. So we obviously did that. We got was it the 30 days, the
30-day
prize,
mindset
yeah, 30-day
experience. Yeah.
mindset experience, yeah. So went through that, worked through all that. Obviously then your book came out. Was it? I can't remember exactly the exact date. So we've got two copies of that. And before we came to Soul School, we read all of them, both of them.
Wow.
Well, no, both of us read it. So then turned up to Soul School, not knowing what to expect, but we said on that we went into a hotel the night before and we both sat there and we was journaling. We both set the intention for it to be an experience where we could have make a breakthrough. And we was like, we want something to like make us whatever we want, we need to feel, whatever we want to get come through. Please let us receive it. Okay, so we did that on the night. Woke up in the morning, went there.
Were you nervous coming to Soul School?
Was I nervous? I don't really get nervous about a lot. I
That's good.
think, yeah, I think as I got there and I think I was waiting, I think there was probably some nerves building slightly,
Bit of
but I wasn't nervous
apprehension.
because I was like, I feel like this is where I've got to be, kind of thing. So it's not something that I don't want to do. I know that I want to do it. I've just got to probably get past my ego and then allow myself to actually feel it. So
Amazing.
the first day, incredible. And was it the second day that we really got into it?
I think I got my hands dirty on you guys that day, didn't I?
I think you did. I think you did.
Amazing. So, just like first and foremost, I just want to say thank you, because you are leading from the front for lads your age, right? Because don't get me wrong, I know lots of different people I need, and they've got children of your age and all sorts of different things like that. And there are a lot of people, but it takes a very, very courageous soul to be like, I know none of my friends are going to even acknowledge that I'm doing this. They're all going to think I'm absolutely crazy, but I'm going to go and do it anyway, whether your mum's paid for it or not. Like, that's a really brave move. Now, I just want to step backwards before we go forwards from here. You're a pretty good footballer, right?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm okay.
Come on, let's not be modest here, Lewis. You're an amazing footballer from what I've been told, and the pictures that I've seen of you scoring all your goals and stuff like that. So um it's such a different world to be involved in when you are of a decent level of football and winning man of the match and all of this stuff consistently, and then you're flitting to this other world that a lot of men your age would be like, no, we're going to the pub, we're going out with the women, we're going to go out and let our hair down. And here you are saying, I love my football. Before we came online, you actually were sharing with me that you were always dead set on the fact that you were going to be a professional footballer. Like, you're that good to be a decent level footballer, right? Let's not be modest now, Lewis. So you've gone from, your whole life being about football to now, when I said to you earlier, because ladies, he's only 25. I know they're all going to be like, isn't he gorgeous? Isn't he a sweet guy? I can hear them all saying it now. So you're 25. You could still make it as a footballer. And I actually said that to you offline, and your response blew me away, Lewis. Are you prepared to share that response again?
I am, yeah. So, for like you've just explained, football has been my life since I think I started when I was about 6. So I started at 6. Never kicked football in my life before. First session I went to, not particularly good. And then the second session, it was just me coming out of a big, massive, like a muddle of 12 kids, me running out with the ball on the second session. So then ever since then, a ball's been at my feet. So I went from like Thomas the Tank Engine to football boots.
There
And
was
that was
no
it.
integration, just
Nothing
give
at
me
all.
the
It was
football.
drop that and it was a football at my feet all the time. So I was completely devoted to football. I gave everything to football. Um, Growing up, do you mean I didn't really drink? I didn't really go out to parties this much when I was at school.
Well, if you
Uh,
if you if you wanted to be a professional footballer, right, there's no drinking. There's, like, I know that there's obviously the women and all the rest of it, but like, when you want to make it and you haven't made it yet, like, you have got to get your head down, haven't you? It's like a real lifestyle choice. You have to sacrifice everything else for that one thing. How did
yeah.
you find that?
To be fair, when you are that set on something, you don't really like. I didn't really miss it when I was younger. Do you mean? Because like, I knew I was going to make it. This was in my head. You mean it was? I was making it. Do you mean like, there was no other path. Like, it was football. Do you mean? So I was completely on it. So it was like I'm not too bothered about that because once I make it, do you mean then I can make the choices when I'm older if I want to do that or not. So for me, I didn't miss it that much. Um, I'll be honest. It's only when I became ill at 19 and it stopped my football. Like, I felt like I lost me. Do you know what I mean? Because
Wow.
I identified as a footballer. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that was my image. Do you mean everyone knew me as I was Lewis Rose? I was a footballer.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
go on, sorry.
yes, so I completely felt like it stripped it away from me. So I had to go back to who I really was and not this person that I'd created my ego to be around. Not the footballer, the actual real me. Um, so that was so that was 19 till 22. I had to stop playing football. So at 19 is a good age. Do you mean I had a lot of interest to like go to like I had Oxford, Sheffield United, Derby, so I had good teams looking at
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of scouts come to my games, but then at 19, ulcerative colitis came along, and then shook my world upside down. And now I've been playing back since obviously I'm 25 now. So I got back at 22, um, started to build back up now. And I'm slowly getting back to it. Do you mean I'm one level below from where I was at when I was 19? Do you mean so my aim was to get back to the level I was playing at before and
Wow.
see what happens. So I'm one below now.
Wow. You're a
Yeah,
very determined man, aren't you? Like very
yeah,
determined, like there was no question, Lucy, I was going to be a footballer, and I wanted to get back to the level and now you're one level below. Like that's really quite inspirational of somebody of your age. And I don't mean to be patronizing when I say that. I just want to reiterate to people, like me at 25, I was a waste of freaking space. Like I was successful in one way, but I was a boozer. My story, Lewis. I was a party girl. And to hear somebody at 25 so dedicated and so like focused on what they're doing, like for me that is so inspirational. Genuinely, at the age that I'm at now, I look at you and I'm like, wow, imagine if you had had that drive at that age. And I did, but it was to make money.
yeah.
It wasn't to be focused on a particular thing. I actually sacrificed everything that I love because I wanted money.
No, I get that.
So listening to you, it really inspires me, Lewis, and I absolutely love that. I would like to go back to at 19, you getting your ulcerative colitis, because you said something very important there where I think a lot of people will resonate, but I feel that it happens to a lot of people slightly later on in life. And you said that you lost your identity. Like for a 19-year-old lad who's just about to make it in the career choice of his life, his life path, his life mission, as far as you were concerned at that point, like how did that feel? Like how did you get through that?
To be fair, that at times when I was in that period of time, I really did struggle. Like genuinely, there's at times where I was like, it's not really worth me living anymore because like I had everything stripped away from me. Do you mean I couldn't leave the house. Um, because the way that I deal with my problems, which is probably not the best way, but I disconnected from all my friends. I didn't let anybody in. I had a girlfriend at the time, and then I pushed that away because I was like my coping mechanism was to like retreat, deal with it all myself, and just push everyone else out. Obviously, I kept obviously with my mum and dad's support. Do you mean I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near back to where I am now without them two.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the
I think
feeling of losing myself was hard. Because like I said, growing up, it was going to be as a footballer. This is my mindset was always going to be. I never even thought about like another career choice. Obviously at school I did well. And then we did a bit. We obviously, as you go into academies and stuff, you have to do like a BTEC, obviously on the side to obviously do your education. So I did that. I got a distinction star. So I did well. I was academically good as well. But obviously, my mind was always just football.
yeah.
So then to have that completely like stripped away, I think that was the thing. Was one of the hardest things. Um, but I think it kind of made it because I genuinely never thought I'd play football again. Like that was like, do you mean like I was at those points where I couldn't stand up, so I tried to wash some pots and like I'd wash a pot and then just like collapse on the settee. I just couldn't move.
Wow.
I went down to I was below about I think I was about 5.5 stone at one.
Gosh, that's
Yeah,
tiny.
yeah, yeah. So I dropped a lot of weight. Yeah, a skeleton basically. Yeah. But I think, like I said, I think the fact that I never thought I'd play football again, it brought this the other side to me back online a little bit more because
Yeah.
I was journaling, I was meditating, do you mean I was doing all these sort of things. I was listening to hypnosis beats, all this binaural beats,
Amazing.
music, Tibetan bowls, so all this kind of
Amazing.
stuff. Crystals with my mum, so I kind of it brought. I always had that because my mum, like I say, my mum was into that stuff, but
Yeah.
it kind of like brought it more online. And
So what actually was the turning point for you? Obviously, you get to 19, you've had your world shattered in your view. You're having these moments of I just can't carry on with this. This is absolute bullshit. But then you start integrating practices like journaling and things like that. Like what made you do that? Because a lot of people, Lewis, when they're as low as what it sounds like you were, would be like, screw this. Like I literally, like I think that's such an inspirational transformation point for you. Like what was it that was the trigger? Do you remember? Or what was the transformational point where you were like, no, I need to journal, I need to meditate, I need to just do whatever I can to get my body back?
I'll be completely honest, my mum.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Go, mum.
that's yeah. I think my mum is my guardian angel. Like I genuinely do. Um, like she's incredible. And she's just so selfless with me. She's with everybody, but
Oh,
she dedicated a whole life to me in that period of time when I was ill.
amazing.
Like the things we used to have to cut because I went on a nutrition plan, and the stuff that I got taken out of my diet was incredible. Like I don't know how we managed to create food with the stuff that we actually
We're allowed to
were
have.
allowed to have.
Wow.
But we did it, and my mum, because my mum's very much like she researches everything. That's her to a thing. She researches everything. She goes into detail about everything. Like she knows this, and she knows this about this. So that got me through it. Do you mean her researching all the stuff for me, different things? To be fair, it was so we actually got in touch with a doctor from there's a team from England, weren't they? And then there was a American doctor called Dr. Snow. And to be fair, it was a bit of everything. And that's how I believe healing is. Do you mean
Yeah,
like
for
not
sure.
isn't about this will work for you and so will this. It's everyone's body's different, and you've got to like adapt your approach to the way that you are. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's what I did. I took a little bit from here, I took a bit from there. I took stuff from my mum. I meditated, brought it all together, and now obviously no tablets.
Fitting
Um,
well.
fit well, playing football again, which I never thought I would. I've just played Saturday and I've just played Monday, 90 minutes. So both, I mean, so it's worked. Whatever
It's
I've been doing has worked.
inspirational, Lewis, to hear you. Like genuinely, it is truly inspirational. And I know you've got inspiration in the form of your mum, who's an incredible healer, by the way. She just doesn't realize it. Like doesn't realize quite how powerful she is, that lady. But for me, like you are an amazing source of inspiration for yourself. And this is exactly why I wanted to get you on this channel. Now, I didn't know half of this stuff when we started talking, when we first joined this video before we went live. But I knew that you were going to inspire many, many, many people. And there will be people out there that are much older than you, 50, 60, 70s, and they're going to be like, wow, he's inspired the heck out of me. And they might think you've got more energy, Lewis, or something like that. But I genuinely believe they're going to feel like I do. And it is the real raw authenticity that just runs through you. You know, it really does run through you. And that's a tricky journey that you've been on. You know, in the last 3 years since you've been able to get back to football, you've been able to get back to a standard which most people would be proud to achieve in their life once, but you've done it twice. You know, this is super inspirational. And I hope you give yourself some of the credit, you know, like
Yeah, I don't, but
you
then when you
don't, do
say that,
you?
like, okay.
Yeah, you should be really proud of yourself, you know, and I do feel that you will help so many people. Now, I don't want to make little of your health and your healing journey because it's freaking amazing. Like it's amazing what you've done. And I do genuinely believe that you're going to inspire a lot of people. They're going to be messaging you like, hey, I got that. Tell me what you did. Like literally give me a plan step by step. You're going to be a busy lad. Let's just call it that way. But the reason we spoke I don't know, a few weeks ago now, I think it was, you popped up in my head a couple of times, and anybody that I've ever met at any of my seminars or whatever, like, people don't leave, Lucy. Like, you're ingrained in my cells for the rest of my life. It's just the way that it is. And I kept getting this feeling. I was like, I need to check in on Lewis. Like, I need to message Donna and check that Lewis is okay. And then I just was like, no, I'm just going to message Lewis myself. And I can't remember if I messaged you on Messenger or on Instagram or something, but I messaged you on something. And I was like, hey, you're on my mind. Are you okay? And you were like, oh my God, I set an intention yesterday that I needed to speak to you and blah, blah, blah. So it was the divine working her magic again. And what you shared with me at that point, bearing in mind I knew nothing of your health journey at this point, what you shared with me then was that actually you'd got in a bit of a cycle of being, distracted, shall we say, by life and by what's been going on. And I actually feel that that's a very, very, very important subject to talk about right now, because I believe that we're all very distracted right now. We're distracted from our core being. You're inner footballer. I know obviously we're looking at the spiritual route and everything for you now, because you're much more passionate about that, it would seem, although you still have passion for football, you seem much more guided in that direction for one reason and another. But I think it's very important that we talk about the distractions, because it happens to everybody. It's not just 50-year-old women or 30-year-old lads. It's all of us are being distracted from every which way. So talk to me. You don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want to, but talk to me about how distractions were showing up for you, Lewis.
So obviously I went to soul school in the February. That was around my birthday as well.
What date is your birthday?
My date is the February the 6th.
So you're really close to me.
Yes,
Oh
very close.
wow,
Yeah.
that's why we get on so well. We're Aquarians. We're all stick together like glue, us lot. Okay, so you came to soul school in February.
Yeah. So came, and to be fair, talking about distractions, I didn't actually answer your question, but what you just said about it was how now what I actually said about the spirituality side. And the
Right, we always loop back.
We'll go back. Okay. So what I said is that now that I've obviously football has always been my passion, but the spirituality side and all this sort of nurturing myself, like there is no feeling better than it now. Like when I came back from soul school, that night with my mum, like I've never ever experienced a feeling like it. And still to this day, there's been nothing to replicate that. So
I
that's
love
how
it. I love hearing that, because your mum messaged me that night and she's like, oh my God, it's been the best weekend and I've got my boy back. That's the words that she used. And to hear you saying how euphoric you felt, Lewis, off the back of being in a room full of 150 people doing some crazy shit. Let's be honest about it. I had you all up at ridiculous hour in the morning doing 2-hour meditations. I had you guys doing some crazy stuff. And the fact that you left there feeling as euphoric as you did is just soul food. It's absolute soul food that you have got connected to something which is going to help you in your future. Is that my internet or your internet? One of us is cutting off.
Okay. So
are you back?
Absolutely.
There's a bit of a lag going on. There's something
going
on. Yeah, I can hear you. You're frozen, but I can hear you, Lewis.
I'm frozen.
Oh no, you're back. You're back. You're back.
I'm back. Oh, good.
You're back. You're back. That's fine. It's cool. These things happen when two energetic beings are speaking. This shit happens all the time, Lewis. We have to get used to it. So you went home feeling completely euphoric. Your mum very sweetly messaged me to let me know that she had her boy back, which honestly just made my heart explode, because that's the whole point of this. We're here to connect our soul back to the level. And this is at what point you decided that the spirituality stuff was more important. Is that what happened?
To be fair, it was probably like I've always done it through my life. Do you know what I mean? But it's been more by myself doing it because I know that I've got a draw to this side. Do you know what I mean? I've always felt like I was a little bit different. Like obviously with my mum with crystal and stuff, so I was always connected to that kind of stuff. But that was probably my first experience where I felt something so incredible from within. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't the fact that I was getting it from elsewhere. It was a feeling that we created there. And
You
yeah,
created
I created, and I can get that feeling back, and I can do
at
it
any time.
at any time. And that's the thing that was so like, okay, so this, I know it works. I've had it, but this is the feeling that I would love to recreate and recreate and recreate.
I've got a
Um,
question for you because it's popped
okay,
in my mind. So
okay.
before I get distracted, I want to ask this question. How do you feel your football friends would feel if you could help them create that feeling before a game, after a game, and at the moments where they're going to go off and do distracting kind of things that footballers do after their games and stuff? How do you feel? Like, how would you feel if you could? Because scoring a goal or being man of the match must be a pretty cool buzz.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It is, yeah,
Yeah, I've won some really cool shit in the past, like trophies and stuff, and different, been able. So I can guess that that feeling is pretty euphoric and it's pretty cool. But there's always the aftermath, isn't there, of a game? It tends to be like lots of beers, lots of going out, and all the rest of it. And there's no judgment in that, by the way. But what if you could create that euphoric feeling that you had on the way back from soul school after a game and maintain that? How do you think
Oh,
that might change things?
it could change football completely, like genuinely change football because, like you're saying, within football, like I'll be completely honest, football's corrupt. Football is,
No
um,
shit.
there is so much shit within football. It's unbelievable. And obviously, a lot of people don't see it because it's this, it's that. But obviously, because I'm this way inclined, I see it all. Like, do you mean I see everything? Um, it's just it's the, what is it? It's the toxic habits that come with football.
Yeah.
So like so it's after the game, you stay behind. You get fined if you don't have a drink. Do you know what I mean? An alcoholic drink. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? If
really?
you get fined for bringing. Okay,
Oh
so
my
that's one.
gosh.
Yeah. So if you miss a team night out, which is basically just drinking, 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 you get fined. Um, it's the gambling in the changing rooms
Oh,
before games on anything and everything. If you're going away to a game, gambling on games. Do you mean it's just
wow.
unbelievable. You just wouldn't believe it.
No,
Um,
I'm
yeah,
like, I
just
like, I can imagine. Now you've mentioned it, I'm like, why did you not ever think of that before? Like, my dad was a professional footballer, and until my mum fell pregnant with my sister, my older sister, he was, Leeds, West Ham. Like, he was an amazing footballer, right? But I've never heard any of that. And I've got a lot of friends that used to be professional footballers, and I'm like, I've never heard that. But then why would I? Because I've never asked the questions. It's normal life to those people. It's only now that we're raising the consciousness on. That's wild, Lewis. Getting
yeah, it
fined for
is.
not
I'm
having
not
an
sure.
alcoholic drink. To
I'm
encourage
not sure.
alcoholism in a sport.
I'm not sure if obviously because obviously at the minute I'm classed as semi-pro, so obviously once you get to professional and obviously you're training full time, I don't think it's kind of like that. But the non-league,
Yeah.
should I say,
What, we have
is
drinks before we-
is thingy. No, we
Yeah.
don't.
It's it's really fascinating, isn't it? And this is our future, semi-professional leads to professional for some,
Yeah,
and this is our future. And we're basically giving people grief for not taking a distraction,
yep,
like it's absolutely wild. So it's really easy to get distracted basically in the world that you're living in, right? I know you work separately, but like just talking about the football world that you're in at the moment, it's actually very easy to get distracted, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, it's obviously even after it's just a social thing. So obviously if you're training, so if you've got a game on a Tuesday, you have to stay behind to a certain time, anyway. And obviously the places where you're staying in a bar. Do you know what I mean? So all the fans are there, they're all drinking. Do you know what I mean? Everything's just it's just there set up to like to distract you basically.
Yeah.
And obviously on a Thursday after training, if you're training at your ground, do you mean you walk past your bar and there's fans or people still in there having a drink? Do you know what I mean you walk past them? Someone like, oh, you come to have a drink. But to be fair, I'll be honest, like I fell into the trap. So end of last year, I was probably having just one after a game, but then like I started to think like, why am I doing that? Do you know what I mean? Because I've never really been a massive drinker.
Mm.
Um, so I thought to myself, I don't need to. And I've just kind of pulled away from it a little bit. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I can do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind the fine. It's not like it's a big fine, but it's just one of them. It's just because at the end of the day, it all goes to this is the funny thing. So all the fines go to the kitty at the end of the year to go on a night out or a
Everything.
holiday to drink. So it's just
The
yeah.
irony of this environment is just ironic. Well, good for you for stepping away from the distractions, but distractions show up in many, many ways, don't they? It's not obviously just alcohol. We're focusing on that because it's quite interesting. What I'm learning here is quite interesting. But there's women, there's these what I call dark entities, they show up in people, don't they? They lead you astray a little bit, they get you in a bit of trouble and all of these things. And then on top of that, we've got distractions with work, distractions with family, distractions with all these other bits and pieces. And then we've got the global distractions and the government distractions and everything else. So we're actually in a world, Lewis, aren't we, whereby it's very easy to lose yourself and exactly what you said earlier, losing your identity. But it just happened to you at a very young age. Then you've kind of pulled yourself back online and you're kind of figuring out who you are, but you're still owning the fact that this world is a very distracting world. And it shows up in many, many, many different ways. Some of what you've shared, like all of us are going to be like, wow, we never knew this. Like we've learned something new from this. Like I have definitely. So, but then you've also said, you know what, I've made the decision now that I'm not going to go for that one drink. I know it's only one drink and I know I've got to pay a fine, but you know what, I'm not going to do it. Like, how do you have the discipline with yourself to be able to say, you know what, I'm not playing these games? Because at 25, I would have been like, okay, twist my arm, and I would have been there. So it's amazing discipline that you've got. How do you air that discipline?
I think I'll be honest. So in probably the summer, I've probably been tempted more, and I have been that I've been twisted and I've gone and been distracted and stuff. But then it comes to a point where like you're doing these things, you're going out and you're realizing this isn't what makes you happy. Like I'm 25 now. It doesn't, it's like momentary joy, but it isn't that much because obviously the after effects of it,
Yeah.
it's not just so like if you was going out on a Saturday after a game, so obviously the Sunday you're feeling a little bit rough, you are not for me, I don't recover straight away. So if I had a drink and had a few, I mean, I wouldn't be right till Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's me
Wow.
missing a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So that's my gym out the way. Do you know what I mean? So which is a massive, massive part of my life now. Like the gym, like my mum, if I'm starting to be a little bit cranky or something, or my mood's a little bit, she's like, Lou, you need to go to the gym or you need to go for a jog. So it's one of them things I have to do. It's like
I
it's
resonate with that.
negotiable. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's a non-negotiable for me. I have to do it. So it affects that, and I've pulled myself away, and the progress and like the commitment I've got back towards the gym has just gone like that, and I just feel so much better for it.
Good. So for
And
you, a big driver is your mental health, right? It's about,
oh,
I know
God,
you've
yeah,
obviously lost your physical health, but the way that you're speaking, a big driver for you is your mental health. Like if you're getting a bit cranky, like it tends to be, a hormone imbalance, which is affecting your mental health that's kicking in, right?
yeah, absolutely. And then I've got obviously I know my points now. So I will just like I do need to go to the gym. I'll go and do something just to get me moving again, just to get me flowing again. It's just that something, and then do you mean as soon as I come back, I'm back to being me again. But yeah.
You're a very wise young man. You're a very, very, very wise soul, and it's just so remarkable to witness such a bright. And everybody watching this is going to be able to see how bright you are, literally just by looking at you. You are such a bright button, Lewis, and I just think that your wisdom is inspiring for people your own age, but of all ages as well. you know, it's remarkable what you've done. It's remarkable what you've achieved. And, you know, let's be honest, we haven't even scratched the surface of the shit that's gone on in your life. So, you know, like, just talking about the things that you've shared is a big enough deal. But, you know, there's so much that has gone on, like there is with absolutely everybody. You know, there's so much that goes on behind closed doors. And I know that your mum's very proud of you. Like, I know she's very, very proud of you. And I know that if you were my son, I'd be bloody beaming. I'd be so proud to have such an amazing young man like you are. I really do feel that you're going to make such an imprint in this world. And as much as I know football would be amazing for you, and I still think, you know, like I said earlier, you can still be a professional footballer. I do think that the spiritual world is going to be very, very, very lucky to have somebody like you shining the light. You know, I'm always looking for people to take over from me when I'm stepping to the side. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing that for a while, just so we're clear, but you know, I said it to somebody just today. I was like, I'm constantly on the lookout for the people that can take what I've created forward, you know, in their way when I'm done, because, you know, we've got to keep this evolution taking place. And honestly, Lewis, you know, I thought you were inspiring before when I met you, but this conversation has just made me even more of a fan of yours. And I'm just going to be cheering you on massively from the sidelines, because I really, really, really do genuinely think that you're an inspiration. And I feel that you're going to help so many people, men and women. All the women are going to love you, you know, and all the men are going to want to be you. Like, you're one of those people. And I know that that's not going to go to your head with me saying that, but it's genuine. You're such a nice lad. You know, I'm just really excited to watch all of this unfold. And I know we're going to do some more work together, aren't we?
Yeah, yes.
We are. It's
Thank
really
you, Lucy.
exciting.
I really appreciate all you've just said. Like, thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
It's all deserved, Lewis, you know, and I just feel it's very, very, very important for people to realize, because what I'm saying to you, there's many other people out there that don't recognize that they are that as well. And we need to be empowering much more gratitude and much more complementary behavior towards each other. There's so many people out there that are putting people down, trying to distract people, you know, leading people off of their path, telling people what their path should be, you know. And for me, it's about holding space. It's just about, you know, you making your decisions and then being able to hold a path out and be like, well, there's that path there if you want to walk it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really excited to see you at the next Soul School, put it that way. I really, really am. I asked him offline before we came on. I was like, so you coming to the next Soul School? He was like, wherever it is, I'm going to be there. And I'm like, yes, this is amazing news, because, you know, it's just so amazing to see you men showing up, putting yourself first and actually investing in yourself. So thank you from me and all the women around the world for doing that. Was there anything else you'd like to share? In fact, there's something I'd like to share about you, but would you like to share something first?
No, I'll let you have the
You want
stage.
to hear, you want to hear what I've got to say now? You're like, no, you've distracted me, woman. Get on. That was very unfair of me. So, ladies and gents, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some information for you to be able to find Lewis if you want to follow him on social media and support his football, or he is going to be setting up a YouTube channel, aren't you?
I am, yes.
So as soon as I've got that, I'll add that in as well. But it isn't set up yet, ladies and gents. So when this goes out, it might not be set up, but I promise I will share that with you guys as soon as I possibly can. But please, please, please do, if you've got sons or daughters, get them to go and follow Lewis. Like, this is a really important community that we're going to be building here. Like, I'm working with the mums and the parents and the dads and all the rest of it, but I'm also working with the children, and, you know, whatever age they are, from blooming 4 all the way up to, you know, your 25s and stuff. So let's bring these people together. Let's start creating the communities that are going to really help us shift the world that we're living in right now. We can't do it on our own. You know, Lewis, I know that I need Lewis and people like Lewis to help me create this, but likewise, Lewis knows it, and Donna, his mum, knows it. And, you know, this is about us getting those pockets of people coming together with the same vision, the same mission, and actually taking this world forwards. So how can they find you? You're on Facebook, because I'm on Facebook with you. So you're
Yes, I'm on
definitely on there.
Facebook. Yep, I'm on Instagram, but I'm creating a new account
Okay,
for
cool.
the stuff that matters to me more. Do you
Cool.
mean so that
Perfect.
so I
Perfect.
will share that
Are you on
and
TikTok?
I'm not yet, but
He's going to be, ladies and gents.
I will
If
be.
I've got anything to do with it, he's going to be. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been like, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I know we're going to have you back on and do some more chats. And I think for your first chat, Lewis, you've done really amazing. I think everybody's going to love you. And I'm just really grateful for your vulnerability, you know, sharing that you got really sick, sharing that you know, had your feet taken from underneath you in regards to football, and the fact that you've had to rebuild that back up, you know, after this debilitating illness that you had. Like, it's inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing all of that, and I look forward to what comes out next time. Because you are going to be coming back on. Lewis, it's been my absolute pleasure to have you on. Ladies and gents, please get that up in the comments for Lewis. Like I say, do go and check out the description so you know where to find him. And I will be back super soon, interestingly enough, with more men to interview this week, which is a really interesting dynamic. It's all the boys this week. So Lewis, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. And I will speak to you in a sec once I've just ended this video. Ladies and gents, mwah, love you lots, and see you in the next video.